I just want to begin by reflecting on your recent autobiography titled Disloyal. You described the former president as a cheat, a liar, a fraud, a bully, a racist, a predator, and a con man. In response, Donald Trump says you're a rat. Are you just bitter and disloyal?
I don't think so. I think that everything that I have said so far has been proven to be accurate. When I call him a racist, we all know.
The former president has always denied being a racist. You know, he points to a lot of his supporters who are people of color. I mean, what evidence do you have to say, or do you have to show from your time with him, that he said or did racist things?
Well, I spell that out in the book. For example, when Nelson Mandela had passed, he turned around and he called the country. On top of that, when he would comment things to the extent that name a country or even a state that's run by someone who's black, that's not. You let me know. I said, well, at the time, President Obama was president of the United States. I said, America? And he turned around and he goes, shut up.
So you believe Donald Trump has a problem with black people?
I think Donald Trump has a problem with all races.
So why then do you think he has such a strong support among these groups of people?
Well, what group does he really have the greatest strength with? It's basically the Southern White Christian Coalition, the evangelical group. In fact, if you look at the rallies, you'll see that there's very little diversity there. And there's always the same 2 or 3 black men and women that are there, and that's because they're paid actors. They're paid to be there.
Let's talk a little bit about loyalty, because we saw you break that trust that you once had with him, and you testified under oath that he told you to commit financial fraud whilst you were a senior executive working for the Trump organization. The judge overseeing the case, if he believes you, then the consequences will be severe for Donald Trump.
The consequences are what the consequences are. It's called accountability. I suffered accountability, you would suffer accountability, anybody else would suffer accountability and would have already suffered the accountability. Donald Trump has somehow managed to evade accountability his entire life, except for now. All of a sudden, everything is coming to a head, and yes, he will be held accountable. I didn't walk in and testify, just so you understand. I was subpoenaed to come in and testify. And unlike so many in Trump's orbit, I fulfilled my legal obligation and I went in and I testified.
Do you want to see him locked up?
I don't. You know, I said this the other day as well, and it shocked quite a few people. I want him held accountable, but I have great concerns that if in fact Donald Trump is locked up in an institution, that he would sell or give away national security secrets for a bag of tuna or a book of stamps. My bigger concern is the protection and safety of America. So let them put him under a very serious home confinement situation, but to put him into an institution. Remember, for 4 years, he was briefed every single day on national security issues. I care more about America than I do about seeing Donald Trump behind bars.
He said following that testimony that you gave in court that you're a proven liar and a criminal. He also said he never directed you to do anything wrong. Is that true?
No. So one of the things that he was trying to do, he believes, or his counsel has advised him, that if they try to discredit me and they're successful in doing that, that the judge would be required to dismiss the case. How could we possibly have a case that is predicated on somebody who doesn't tell the truth, someone who's a liar? Well, everything that I had said was accurate.
Your credibility and reliability is a line of attack, not just for Donald Trump, but also his lawyers. They point to the fact that you were convicted of lying to Congress. So why then should anything that you say right now be believed?
What was the lie? The number of times that I claimed to have spoken to Donald about the failed Trump Tower in Moscow. 3 versus 10. If anybody thinks that that's going to prevent me from being a credible and reliable witness, I would dare anybody to say that they would not turn around and just make this statement, okay, you wanted 3 versus 10. It was de minimis either way. Why he wanted 3, I don't know the answer, but that's what he wanted. And I was deep in the cult. I was knee deep into the cult of Donald Trump, very much like his lawyers right now. So he wanted 3. I said, okay, 3 it is.
That's extraordinary. So you see the people around him and this support system that he has similar to a cult?
It is a cult. It is the cult of Donald J. Trump, including all of these MAGA supporters. They don't know him. They don't understand that Donald wouldn't cross the street to urinate on them if they were on fire.
So how do you then feel about the prospect of Donald Trump again being re-elected?
Yeah,
how worried are you?
Yeah, that's a real problem. It's not only a problem for me, for journalists, for judges, for anyone that unfortunately Donald has ire towards. This could be a real problem, not only again for us, but also for America's democracy and the future of this country.
What will you do?
I'd leave the country.
There'll be a lot of people who will watch this and say, okay, listen, Michael, you've clearly had a falling out with Donald Trump. Isn't it a little bit dramatic saying you would pack your bags and leave the country should he be re-elected?
Why should it be? I'm telling you that I fear for my safety. I fear for my life. Again, you don't know Donald Trump. I do. And Donald Trump, don't listen to my words. Listen to his words. He will exact revenge on anyone that has done him wrong. There's a lot of people on that list. It's not just me. It's judges, it's lawyers, it's citizens, it's prosecutors, it's Congress members. He will exact revenge on anyone and everyone that he's capable of.
You would consider seeking asylum in a foreign country?
Absolutely.
Can we talk, if we may, about the emotional impact this has all had on you? I think we often hear you speaking about your dislike for Donald Trump, but I imagine your life has changed dramatically. You were sent to prison, you lost your license to practice as an attorney, and now, where would you say you are?
I will not allow history to remember me as the villain of his story. I was asked by Donald, I certainly didn't do it on my own, within which to create an NDA and to pay Stormy Daniels for not revealing an affair that took place about 2+ years before I even started working for him. And somehow or another, that's a reason for me to go to prison? The answer is it shouldn't have been. This was all concocted by an administration, by Donald's administration, in order to destroy this whole conversation that was going on at the time about Russia and Trump's involvement with Russia in terms of the election. Whatever the reason might be, it was their decision to throw me under the bus, to use me.
Donald Trump has always maintained that he never instructed you to break the law in paying anybody at all.
Right, so I decided to do this on my own and got paid back money in order to do that. Again, Donald Trump and truth are two things that do not equate. You know that Donald is lying when his lips are moving. He doesn't know the difference. It's just who he is.
Do you ever find yourself having a cry or just getting emotional at the sheer fact that you met someone and then your life has just been turned completely upside down? You've done a complete 360.
I've cried more times than I care to even acknowledge. This has not been an easy journey by any stretch of the imagination. The amount of pain that this has caused my family, from my parents to my children to my wife, this has been one heck of a journey. It's a journey I wish that I had never gotten involved in, which is, to answer your question, yes, I wish that I had never met him. Would I be a supporter of him if in fact that I had never met him? Doubtful, because there's so many things that he fundamentally believes that I absolutely disagree with. And even while I was working for him, expressed my disagreements.